Hello everybody, the Nameless Narcissist here once again. Simple man, diagnosed with NPD, give me the facts on narcissistic personality disorder and things that go on in my head. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, but keep in mind, I am no clinician. I can only speak to my own experiences and the studies that I read. Oh, I almost just ended the recording, and that was weird, instead of like taking out my glasses. So I was talking to one of my cluster buddies the other day because I have in my Discord, I have a Discord where if somebody asks, I can post the link because for some reason the link is always fucking broken in my YouTube videos. But like basically I have a Discord and like I would say probably like half of them at least are all cluster Bs. And like we all, for the most part, get along. There's drama every now and then, like everybody. But like it gets really weird because I'm like, these are some of the most volatile people on the planet. And 99% of the time, we are fine. And it really got me thinking, because then I started talking to one of my buddies about like, oh, he has this thing with a borderline going on right now. And it's like, and he can't imagine himself dating anybody but cluster Bs. And like, I relate. I don't think I ever want to date a non-cluster B again in my life. And I started thinking about why. And it's like, should we do that? But it's like, it made me realize we're on the same playing field, right? I have certain assumptions about other people because of how I would act, right? And that sometimes actually leads to me reassuring people about kind of stupid things because I assume that I would need that reassurance. But they have needs that are foreign to me. So there's a lot of work that goes into communicating with a quote unquote normal person that we can actually have a relationship, right? To be able that we can both get each other's needs met because we're thinking completely differently. And that can lead to a lot of conflict. But with another cluster B, I'm sitting there being like, oh, I know exactly what I have to say. It's natural. It feels like right. This is what I imagine it feels like to for example, like, it's like you have different cultures, right? Like, you gotta learn their language probably, you gotta start knowing their customs, you gotta teach each other that stuff. And like, that can be a really fulfilling relationship, obviously. But that's work. And I feel like with dating other cluster Bs, that actually gets intensified a little bit because like, at least if it's different culture, at least you're thinking the same. I have never really got to a fight with another cluster B, and it's been like once maybe, and like I immediately was able to clear it up because I knew what they assumed that I said. It was just a very quick misunderstanding. And you can clear up misunderstandings with other people, but And then there's also the facet, which I feel like, because like I remember watching this Dr. Romney video, and it's like, and she was just kind of like, oh, they should all go to an island and leave us alone, which was like, that's awful. Like, I'm sorry. That is, like, sometimes Dr. Romney will say something like that I just think is completely inappropriate for a clinician to say. But the thing of it was like, they won't hurt other people, sure, in relationships, because it's important for me to recognize that. I don't think that's not really a reason I'm really thinking about, because I think that it's like, that feels gross of me to say, like, oh, narcissists won't hurt non-narcissists if they're all dating each other. Like, you can have a fulfilling relationship with a narcissist, and a narcissist can have a fulfilling relationship with a normal person as long as they're working on themselves. I wouldn't even say they had to be self-aware as long as they're just working on themselves. I feel like if you're working on yourself enough, you'll become self-aware, but still. But like, that is a benefit, right? Because it is work to be with the cluster B, and it probably is going to be more damaging to you. I don't think that should be a reason that narcissists date each other, but I think it's important for everybody to kind of realize that, like, if you're dating a cluster B, that's going to be a lot harder to have a healthy relationship, even if they're self-aware, even if they've been working on themselves for years. I still slip up. I still have moments where I'm really symptomatic. I'm not healed just because I'm self-aware. And it does feel like there's an expectation there that once you're self-aware, you have to be perfect, because people don't view my symptoms as symptoms, they view them as choices, when it's not that cut and dry. My perception of the world is off too, and how I think. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like WebMD or something or like the DSM describes it of a way of perception and cognition that is different. It's not just that I'm thinking differently. It's not that I'm just making actions. I perceive things differently. I mean, hell, like, I'm very hypersensitive to cues regarding emotion, right? I can look at, and like, I can misinterpret those things a lot, right? Since I'm so picking up on so many subtle things, I might think you're mad at me when you might just be having a bad day because everything is so self-absorbed up there, right? And I might get angry at you for that. And then that can be cleared up if you're healthy enough, right? Well, if I'm healthy enough, I'll be like, no, that wasn't it at all. But then I might not believe you. I might think you're lying. Though none of those were choices for me to do. It wasn't like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to think they're mad, I'm going to accuse them of thinking of being mad at me, then I'm going to lie and say, don't believe them. No, that's fucking stupid. Nobody would do that. Okay, I'm sure there's some people that would. Or some people that would like need to get out aggression maybe. But like, no, it's just a bunch of misunderstandings because I perceive things differently. And I think that's why it's easier for at least self-aware cluster Bs to get along. And I'm curious, I would love to see how two unaware narcissists would work out. I hear that they do pretty well unless they go into a competition with each other. And I get along great with borderlines nowadays. And I think I understand them well enough that I probably could date one. But, you know, it's hard to find a cluster B partner, obviously. There's not many of us. Actually, cluster Bs are the rarest grouping of personality disorders, fun fact. Compared to like, I think it's like, I can't remember. Cluster A and cluster C are way more common though. Then narcissism is the rarest of the cluster Bs. Let's go. But yeah, and that's based off of like a general population thing, not just the diagnosed ones. Like they basically got a bunch of people to like do a little test and shit. Yeah. And I don't know, it's hard for me to, it's weird. It's just, and I get along so much better with other cluster Bs. It feels like I'm finally understood. It feels like someone's on my level, so to speak. Not like that anybody's above or below, but we're going in with the same assumptions. It's just a lot easier to get along, and I feel almost more regulated and at home when I'm around other cluster Bs. I wish I had like a cluster B community center. That'd be so cool. Like you go there, you meet up with your cluster buddies. And that's another reason I'm envious of other people, is that like you're starting off the same baseline, the same assumptions. Usually, not always. There's misunderstandings between everybody. But it'd just be so nice. I want to work, but then again, we are highly traumatized people, so it's like there's issues that come into that as well. I feel like the issues would be kind of unique because there's, again, different assumptions going on and stuff like that. It won't be the same crap. But I don't know, I think self-aware cluster Bs are actually generally more harmonious with each other as long as, like, you know, they actually work on themselves and they're in therapy and stuff like that. Who knows? I don't know, that's kind of my take though. I have mixed feelings on it. It might be weird. Whatever. I'm done. Not much else to say. Take your fucking meds, please.